I'm sure you have an opinion about this, but what do you think of the Pixel 6 series of phones from Google? Google is making a big deal that the 6s are, really, if you look at it, their first true flagship phones that perform, look, and feel like the competition without a flagship price. Well, relatively anyway. And here's a fun fact. The larger, more spec'd out 6 Pro with its faster screen and telescopic camera and everything is in fact, get this, $50 cheaper than the 128 gigs Pixel 2 XL that came out back in 2017, which, when you think about it, is crazy considering inflation. But anyway, while the phones are winning over the general population and reviewers alike, in typical new phone fashion, users are also noting a few issues with the 6s. Some I consider easy fixes and others are actually quite serious. By far, the biggest hiccup right now is the under-screen fingerprint sensor. It's less to do with it being an optical unit, it's slightly older, versus say a more advanced ultrasonic type on the Samsung S21, but more to do with its slowness and false negatives. And if you look on the forums like Reddit and XDA, this sensor issue is such a bugger that people are returning their phones just for that reason alone. But that being said, to give credit where credit is due, Google has been quick to address this, and so far they've pushed out one firmware update, I think sometime earlier this week. But I'm curious how they think they'll improve the FPS over time. It's not a rampant problem per se, so don't get me wrong, because equally as many people are also saying they have no problems with their FPS. But since this is safety related, it rightfully deserves close attention. Screen flickering when you quickly cycle the power button from sleep has also been a problem, and apparently Google is also on the case and is expected to have a December fix. Now, the advertised 30-watt wired charging speed has also been reported to be just that, advertised. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is some truth to the claim, they're not necessarily lying. So actual third-party test results so far have been mixed. They found that it really depends on the charger you use because they don't provide a power brick now with the phone. So if you get a 30-watt or higher charger, each brand does it differently. But the general consensus is the total time to charge the 6 from 0 to 100% takes longer than an iPhone 13 Pro Max that has a smaller battery, charging at a lower speed at 27 watts. So what the 6 is doing here is it quick charges at 30 watts initially, then slows down quite a lot towards the end to, well, according to Google, protect your battery in the long term. It's also been found that the in-house design modem is not at the same level as the Qualcomm modems on, say, the Samsung S21 or an iPhone or even the older Pixels. The Pixel 6 right now is like being trounced in LTE and 5G transfer rates in comparative testings. Although, that being said, that shouldn't worry most users like yourself in real-world usage because this only happens in the higher levels of connection. But what's ironic to me is that not too long ago, Apple was facing the same problem with its homemade SoC, while Google phones were doing great with Qualcomm modems. And now look how the tables have turned. There is no doubt that the image and video capabilities of the 6 is breaking the internet right now, but some popular review sites out there have noted that the camera processing, and therefore the final image quality, isn't a night and day difference between, say, the recent Pixel 5 that we were kind of expecting. And in fact, in some areas like white balance and color renditioning in certain lighting conditions, you can see, go out there and see the samples, the 6 is consistently inferior. I mean, we have a larger camera sensor for crying out loud with more megapixels and a dedicated processor to handle the extra work. Why isn't the 6 blowing the older siblings out of the water? Well, some are saying that Google, in its rush to launch the phone, because this is Google, released a processing algorithm that's not yet fully optimized for the Tensor chip and the camera hardware, which basically means that the Pixel 6 imaging is not yet working at its full potential. This is kind of an exciting claim because if that's true, how much more awesomeness are we going to see when Google polishes up the code? But at the end of the day, this is possibly Google's most important phone since the Pixel 2 series, in my opinion, in terms of specs, ability, and price. I think that despite these early warts and flaws that we just mentioned, I need to get this phone on a test bench like pronto and make some videos for you guys. Short-term tests, long-term tests, camera tests. Bet you like to see that, wouldn't you? In fact, I have a 6 on pre-order right now, yes, so we'll see if this turns out to be a great experience or a big waste of money. Pardon the pun, but have you been hearing about people getting ear infections from using the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pros recently? And just in case you're wondering, this is not some kind of rare one and done incident either, because there's been enough cases out there that even Samsung is well aware and has been actively paying people off. I mean, helping them. Yes, helping them with their medical bills and or refunding what they paid for the buds. It's nice to see that Samsung is on top of these things, but it at the same time begs the bigger question. Are there other earbuds out there on sale today that can do the same harm to you? And it doesn't matter if it's the ear tips themselves, what materials they're made of, or the nickel in the charging contacts if you're allergic to it, or the polymer of the casing. Because once you contract an ear infection, it's like hell on earth. It always feels like a sandworm trying to burrow and breed in your ear canal or something. It's just not very comfortable at all. And sure, you can blame it on user error. It's like the lack of personal hygiene or not keeping your earbuds clean and sanitized. They're all factors just as much as manufacturing defects or bad batches. But truth be told, getting ear infections is no joke. So let me ask you this, and I'm really genuinely curious about this. Is any of you experienced ear infections specifically from using earbuds? Because I have, and it's no surprise for me really because of the number of earbuds that go through my table or my desk every month in my ears. So yeah, I'm really genuinely wondering if that's the case for you guys. So it turns out that many of you viewers are fans of the Technics AZ-70, myself included, although I personally didn't like its bulk or the $250 retail price. And I suggested back when I did the review that the AZ-70 has the sound chops and the noise cancellation ability to scare the big guns like the Sony 1000XM3 or Jabra Elite 85T, just maybe needing more polish in its feature set and implementation. Well, it looks like someone at Technics was listening because the new AZ-60 is out, yo. Just don't ask me why the model number is counting down. I have no idea about that. But it looks fantastic, as you can see right here, like it belongs on the deck of the USS Enterprise. It looks nice and compact, looks really good. Nipped and tucked where it matters, has multi-point Bluetooth connection, IPX4 water resistance, an app that looks tidier and more customizable. And early reports is that the sound quality, now with LDAC support by the way in case you need it, is very good. And active noise cancellation, very similar to the class-leading Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds. I really want to test this, but unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, I blew my entire budget buying the Pixel 6 for this channel. Yes. Motorola, or rather eBuyNow, who just happens to license the name for Motorola, and is also the same people behind the revived Moto 360 in 2019. Remember that thing? Yes, I know it's all very confusing. Is coming out with the new Moto Watch 100, this thing right here. And the big headliner here is that it will be running its own RTOS. So expect long battery life, 2 weeks, and no smartwatch integration. So basically a fitness tracker then. $100 asking price for this kind of device is about right, but I think Motorola should have just given up on, or eBuyNow, should have just given up on the aluminum body on this thing and given us an OLED screen because this has an LCD. But at least it's not short on sensors and fitness algorithms to capture things beyond most fitness trackers that we know, like stride length, heart rate variability, and SpO2. I still wonder though why Motorola has this whole eBuyNow arrangement in the first place. It's got to be for some kind of logical financial reasons, right? Maybe so that Motorola can dedicate its resources to flooding the market with 13 smartphones per month and still not include NFC in any of its models? For those of you who care, out of the 7 people watching this, I plan to attend CES in Las Vegas next year as part of the media, and it really depends on me getting approval from the powers that be at CES. But if I do get to go, I hope to scoop the show for you guys, plus connect with companies and people of the industry. I think it'll be great for the channel. In other words, I'll be taking lots of selfies with other famous influencers. Yes. But seriously, if you're going to, feel free to say hi, you can PM me. I promise I won't be creepy. Not one bit. Our good friends at Soundcore just pushed out firmware 03.58 for the Liberty 3 Pro, and it claims to improve battery life, transparency mode, as well as call quality in noisy environments. The latter two, I honestly can't tell the difference since I don't know what aspects especially Soundcore has changed. But the battery life though, I know many of you were disappointed with it, especially with the LDAC on. So I'm actively testing that part to see what kind of gains we're talking about here. So stay tuned. And before we end this, I'd like to introduce a new segment that I like to call There's a Joke in Here Somewhere, where I basically show you a picture of a tech-related product or a situation, and then you can decide how best to laugh at it. You ready? Well, this, my friends, is the Huawei FreeBuds lipstick. Yes, it does exist. It's a set of earbuds shaped like lipstick. It even ships in a scented gift box. And if you like, you can also pair it with Huawei's FreeHeads Bra, a set of noise-canceling headphones that double as, you guessed it, a brassiere. It gives a whole different meaning to cup sizes. Yes. But anyways, I'm done here. Remember to show your support, guys, by clicking subscribe down below and turning on the bell notification icon to get notified whenever I drop new videos. I'm currently at 12,701 subscribers, if I remember correctly. Help me to get to 15,000 by the end of the year. Thank you very much in advance. And remember to thumbs up and comment if you like this video. Super important stuff. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. I love y'all so much. Peace out.